He laughed, cold, sharp, and cruel, as if the moment didn't deserve even a drop of grace. She thinks she can tame Diablo. The billionaire scoffed, his designer boots digging into the earth beside the corral, arms folded over a cashmere coat that cost more than her family's annual income. All around him, people laughed too, not because they truly believed it was funny, but because it was safer to mirror the man who owned the estate, the town, the headlines. But little Emily didn't flinch. The 12-year-old autistic girl stood quietly at the edge of the stallion's enclosure, her hands softly clasped in front of her, lips moving to a silent rhythm only she could hear. Her eyes, those deep, still eyes, were fixed on Diablo, the wild black stallion who had thrown every rider, broken every bridle, and was now rumored to be completely untamable. Everyone had given up. Everyone except her. Before we take you deeper into this powerful story of transformation, courage, and what it truly means to see with the heart, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us keep telling stories that move souls and open minds. Now, let's return to the tale that stunned a billionaire, healed a community, and changed a life forever. Emily wasn't like the other children. Diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder at the age of 3, she communicated in ways the world rarely understood. She didn't meet people's eyes often, found solace in repetition, and had an extraordinary sensitivity to sound and emotion. Animals, however, didn't judge her. They didn't mock the way she needed time to respond or how she hummed quietly to calm herself. Her bond with them was instant, intuitive, and deep. Her mother, Sarah, worked as a stable cleaner on billionaire Harrison Cole's estate. An empire of wealth sprawling across 1,000 acres of pristine land, where horses were bred, trained, and sold for millions. Harrison had built his empire from the ground up, but somewhere along the way, he had lost touch with kindness. To him, people were tools, horses were assets, and emotions were weaknesses. Diablo, the stallion in question, had been his most prized investment, until the day it all went wrong. After a training accident where Diablo had thrown off his top rider and nearly crushed him, the horse had been locked away, labeled dangerous, untrainable, and even cursed. Harrison was furious. He saw only loss. But Emily? She saw something else. Every afternoon after school, while her mother worked late, Emily would sit by Diablo's paddock, sketching him, whispering to him, humming lullabies under her breath. Slowly, the stallion stopped turning his back. Then one day, he walked toward her. No one noticed, except Harrison's elderly stable manager, George, who watched from a distance with disbelief and cautious hope. "She's special," George said one night as Harrison poured himself a drink in his grand oak-paneled study. "That girl, Diablo, doesn't flinch around her." Harrison snorted. "He doesn't eat her for breakfast, you mean?" George didn't laugh. "You should see how he lowers his head when she sings." Word spread. People started watching. One day, Harrison strode over to the fence just as Emily stood inside the paddock, one hand outstretched. Diablo approached. Harrison laughed, a cruel, dismissive bark of disbelief. "Let me guess," he said to the small gathering. "Next she'll be riding him bareback through the hills like some Disney princess." But the very next day, Emily stepped into the enclosure again, this time with a rope, not to control, but to invite. She didn't tug, didn't shout. She simply whispered. Diablo followed. It was like watching a dance of trust between two broken spirits who recognized each other. Harrison's laughter died on his lips. Then came the day that changed everything. Emily asked to ride him. The crowd gasped. "She'll be killed," someone whispered. Harrison refused at first. But Emily's mother, her eyes filled with more strength than anyone had seen before, pleaded. "Let her try. You lock that horse up, he dies on the inside. You keep locking up my daughter's light, you do the same to her." Reluctantly, Harrison agreed, but only if she wore full protective gear and only under close supervision. On the day of the ride, the entire estate turned out to watch. Cameras rolled. The staff whispered prayers. Harrison watched with stone in his eyes and fear in his heart. Emily approached Diablo slowly, humming the same lullaby she'd sung for months. She placed her hand on his mane. He didn't flinch. With careful movement, she climbed onto his back. The moment was still. Then, step by step, Diablo began to walk. Not with fury, not with fear, but with pride, like he knew he was carrying someone extraordinary, someone who had never judged him, someone who simply believed in him. As they circled the paddock, Emily upright and calm, the billionaire's eyes welled with tears. No one had ever seen it before, least of all himself. He remembered his own daughter, lost years ago to illness. He remembered how she used to hum to the horses. He remembered how he had drowned his pain in work, in arrogance, in shutting out anyone who dared make him feel. Emily brought it all back. After the ride, the silence was deafening. Then a slow clap, George. Then more. Then everyone, even Harrison. When Emily dismounted, Diablo nuzzled her cheek. And then she did something unexpected. She walked up to Harrison, looked up at him, and said softly, he just needed someone to listen. Like me. And for the first time in decades, the billionaire knelt. He knelt before a little girl and her truth. He opened the paddock gate and his heart. In the months that followed, Harrison changed. He created a new program on the estate, Equine Hearts, a sanctuary where children with special needs could bond with horses like Diablo. Emily became the face of the program. Her story inspired thousands. Donations poured in. Other billionaires took notice. Soon, Equine Hearts spread to other states. But most importantly, Harrison found a purpose. Not in profit, but in people, in stories, in second chances. And Emily? She rode Diablo every day, sometimes in silence, sometimes in song. Together, they taught the world that being different wasn't a flaw. It was a gift, a bridge between pain and healing, between rejection and acceptance, between a wild stallion and a girl who dared to love him anyway. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. These are the stories that remind us of who we are and who we can become. Until next time, stay kind, stay inspired, and never underestimate the quietest voice in the room. It just might change the world.